So, if you saw my short video that I put out, or if you've seen any of my live streams over the past few months when I've been running on the dirt, you have repeatedly seen me or heard me talk about using the brakes to actually improve your consistency and speed. Well, the question is, how do you actually do that? And more importantly, how do you learn to do that? Because that is the key. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how I did it. Stick around. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. And like I said, we're going to be diving into my braking technique. Now, keep in mind, I talked about this in the shorts video. If you didn't see that, it was just a shorts video. It was 60 seconds, where I talked about can braking actually be faster? And for me, it is. Now, keep in mind, this has to do with a couple of factors, and this is always important, okay? Since the dirt refresh, when we are running on dirt, and this goes for all of the dirt cars, but we're going to focus in this video on the wing sprint cars. I'll actually do one for the late models in a little while, but in the wing sprint cars, the key to being fast is keeping the car straight. You could actually be sawing on the wheel as long as the car's straight. This is the thing you need to understand. If you ever watched a real life sprint car driver, you'll see them working the wheel. It's not like they're just cruising, right? So you can work the wheel, but the key is keeping the car straight and minimizing wheel spin. And this is really important. Since we've got this update, you've probably noticed that the cars spin the tires a whole lot more. It's not the old school like we used to do, what we called the stab and steer, where you just basically held it wide open and just bounced her off the wall right rear on the cushion. Now, there are times that the track is like that, and with the dynamic track, it changes a lot. And there are times where it's going to be faster to just roll the bottom with no brake, just literally rolling off the throttle, almost driving like an asphalt car. And then there will be times when it's tacky, where you might be at like an Eldora, for example, where you're going to be just wide open in the 360 or 410, and you're going to be running the top in 1 and 2 and a slider line in 3 and 4, okay? It's not that, hey, you learn to use the brake and then you always use the brake. That's not the case. Even myself, and I use the brake a lot now on dirt. I don't always use it. It does depend. For the most part, there are a lot of times that I do use the brake. For example, this last week in the Insider program, when I did the qualifying video on a tacky track, I showed with the brake and without the brake because I was actually faster using the brake. But once again, that's me. And this is the thing that I always talk about. If you guys have followed me for any length of time, you know that I always harp on the fact that do what's best for you. That's the key. All right. If you are faster using the brake, use the brake. If you are not, don't. So I'm going to show you guys how I do this, what I look for, and then I'm going to show you how you can learn and really master it, because there is some things that you want to do to really master the feel of it, because that's what it is. It's all about the feel of it when it comes to using the brake. You got to develop a real feel for it, and the way that you do that is what I'm going to show you. So let's head over to the track. All right, so we are at Cedar Lake. The reason I picked Cedar Lake is for a couple of reasons. One, this track, even when it's tacky, you can be spinning your tires, okay? I've always talked about the mid-sized tracks as really good tracks for practicing. So Cedar Lake, Lanier, Lernerville is another good one to practice, different techniques on, or if you're learning a car. Even Charlotte can be, okay? So those middle-sized tracks, 3/10 of a mile, 4/10, right? Bigger than a quarter, less than a half, right? Around there. You're going to get the iRacing setup. All right, we're on a tacky track right now. I just had iRacing generate the track, so it's 9%. I did do a few laps, so it's probably about 10% now. And you're going to load up the iRacing qualifying setup for Cedar Lake. Now, there are a couple of adjustments we are going to make, okay? The first one that we're going to do is we're going to take the stagger out of the front tires, the front wheels. The more stagger that you have on the front, the straighter the car is under braking. We're going to take it out right now because the amount of brake pressure that you use and how you do it and stuff is going to depend on your pedals. Okay, so for those of you out there who have pedals like mine, where you have a load cell brake, you might want to have this be at 0 because you're going to be able to control the car a whole lot more with the brake itself, because you're going to be able to have much more feel. If you've got, the more linear pedals where it's not a load cell, it's just a spring, you might want to have this at 1, but you're going to figure that out when we test, okay? The other thing that you're going to do is this steering offset. This is completely optional. Put this at whatever you typically run, okay? I don't run +8. I run 0. And then you're going to add some fuel. 5 or 6 gallons is all you need right now. Everything else you're going to leave. You're not going to touch anything else, okay? Oh, the other thing that you have to change, I almost forgot. You're going to want to take the pitman arm length. It's at 12. The longer that is, the faster the steering. We want to put that to 10. Okay. We want the steering to be a little bit slower because you want to be turning and driving the car with the pedals. That's the whole point of this. All right. When you get better and more consistent, you can put this back to 12. But in the beginning, you don't want the wheel to be doing any, you're just guiding the car with the wheel. You're going to be driving it with the pedals. All right. And I'll show you a lap. When we look at the car, what the brake is doing is the brake is winging the car over. Okay. So think of this like an airplane. All right. Where when an airplane makes a turn, right, it could yaw where it just turns flat. But if it wants to really make a turn, what does it do? Well, it banks, right? It rolls and then it turns. This is essentially what we're doing with the sprint car. The brake is what's going to wing the car over. It's going to suck the car down on the left side without you having to turn the wheel. Now, it's not going to take much, but it's also not going to be just a little tap, all right? This is the thing that you got to understand. You've got to use the brake. And when we look at this, okay, if we look at this just in this corner here, you can see that my steering wheel is basically straight. All right, we have a slight turn to the left. I'm hitting the brake, and notice the rotation of the car as the car wings over. Car wings over. I'm trailing off the brake as I was giving brake. I rolled off the throttle slightly. The car wings over, and now we are just controlling the car through the corner. Here, you'll see where I add just a little bit more brake. The reason for that is we hit that bump, which stood the car up, and so instead of me turning the wheel, what I did was I used a little bit of brake just to suck it back down, just to get it winged back over. So that's how you want to think about this. The brake is going to wing the car over. The throttle is going to turn the car. If you want more rotation, right? And keep in mind, it's a balancing act. So let's say we've got it winged over. We want more rotation. We're going to give it more throttle. Let's say the car's winged over and it's starting to over-rotate. We'll just back off slightly. We're not going to give it any more, any less brake. We'll just back off slightly. All right? So that's where this dance comes in. So I gave it just a little bit more brake, get off the corner, and notice how I'm using it even coming off the corner a little bit, and that was to prevent the wheel spin. 3 and 4, same thing. A little bit of brake. Notice the wheels are fairly straight with the car. Okay? A little bit of brake. I roll off the throttle. This is a tacky track. All right? Get the car winged over in the corner, and then use the throttle to drive the car through the rest of the corner. All right. That lap, using the brake and lifting here at Cedar Lake in a 360, was my fastest lap by like a tenth of a second. Okay. Everything that I had done before that, I was wide open and just turning, or wide open and just using the brake. Okay. So there's going to be times, track like Port Royal, for example, I'm basically wide open and just using brake, controlling the car with the brake. As it slicks off more, then we'll be lifting more. Charlotte, same type of thing. Fairbury, obviously, really tight track. That's going to be one where I'm using the brake and lifting off the throttle. So it's all about winging it over, keeping it straight, and rotating it, driving it through the corner. All right. So what you want to do is notice I don't have any delta bars up. I don't have lap times up. I don't care about any of that stuff. None of that stuff matters right now. All that matters is getting a feel for the car and being consistent. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to do just a couple of laps, and you could just use the throttle however you want, but no brake. And just run through the middle. You don't need to be working on the optimal line right now. Just run through the middle. This will give you a feel for that slower steering that we have. Kind of give you a feel for the track. Okay? Now, after you do that a few laps and you've got a decent feel for it, the next thing that you're going to do is now, instead of turning it in, you're going to use the brake. You're going to try to hold the car as straight as possible. You're going to use brake to turn it in at those points, okay? And so you're going to get up to about 75%. Just tap the brake. We're just holding 75% throttle. I'm not giving it any more, any less. Tap the brake. Just work on getting the car in the corner. Hold that 75% throttle the entire time. And just develop the feel for how much or how little you have to give it. And see that right there where the car started pushing in the apex? What you want to do is when that happens, don't recover with the wheel, recover with the brake. So it gets tight, I'll drag the brake a little bit and rotate it more, right? Wing it over more. Keep the throttle the same. This is how you're going to develop that feel for the brake. By keeping the throttle the same, it allows you to develop the feel for what the brake actually does to the car and when it does it, okay? Once you do that, and do it a few times. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here showing you lap after lap after lap because I don't want this video to be hours long, okay? Once you can do that and you're pretty comfortable, right? You got a decent feel for it. Now we're going to start working on maintaining brake and doing throttle, okay? So what do I mean? We're going to press the brake down about 5%. And we're just going to hold the brake. We're going to maintain brake at 5%. And we're going to work on just controlling the car with the throttle now. Notice how when we come into the apex of the corner there, even though we're on the brakes, see how the car's still going forward? We've got good drive, good grip, and that's because we're not spinning the tires. And this is important. You want to, once again, you're going to develop that feel. Another thing that you're going to notice is as you're dragging the brake, you're going to notice that the suspension, you'll feel it in your steering wheel. The suspension's loaded, and it's staying loaded. That's why you're dragging, that's why you want to drag the brake all the way around the track. Because you're going to feel that it's staying loaded. And what that does is that develops the feel that you're looking for when you're going to be on the track racing. Because you're going to start to identify what we call the soft spot. The soft spot is that point in your force feedback. Every wheel has it. If you have force feedback, every wheel has it. Where when you turn the car into the corner, your force feedback is, you know, it's hard, and then there's this one point in the middle where it feels a little bit lighter. That's the soft spot. That soft spot, when you've got the car there and you can feel the suspension is set and you're flying through the corner, that soft spot means you're straight. The car is going straight. Because we always talk about keeping the car straight. Well, it's at an angle through the corner, right? So it's basically as straight as it can be through the corner, okay? And you'll start to feel that as you drag brake. Once you've done all of that and you got a decent feel for it, then you can start turning some laps. And the first thing you're going to want to do is do the high line, okay? And when I say the high line, just the wherever the marbles are, if that's the middle, whatever. If the track starts to slick off too much, right, just run right above the slick. Remember, we're not trying to be crazy fast right now. We're just trying to be consistent and smooth, all right? But do the higher line because the bottom is using the 2-foot technique on the bottom. It takes a lot of practice. So you want to get comfortable going around the top first, okay? some common issues that you're going to run into is, number one, you're not going to get the car turned in enough on entry. You'll do something like this, and then you're going to turn it and get loose. Okay, so you want to always make sure the car is braking loose on exit. It's probably because you didn't get it turned in enough on entry. So make sure that you're really focusing on your entry. All right, but notice I'm just guiding the car with the wheel. See right there, the car got a little tight in the center there. I just added a little bit more brake. Gave it a little bit more throttle, and that comes around, right? And also, don't just do brake on entry. Work on drag and brake through the corner. Work on maintaining that brake and that grip level while you're holding brake and still adding more throttle. It's a natural inclination for people to want to start releasing the brake as they're giving it more gas. And there's going to be a lot of times where when you're coming off a corner, if you would just hold that brake at 5% and give it gas, you would not spin those tires. Especially when you get into like the 410, right? Like this technique has helped me a ton in the 410. The 360 is still underpowered enough to where you don't have to do the braking technique. You can just control throttle a lot of times, especially on the cushion and stuff, and not worry about spinning your tires. But in the 410, there's times where I'll be running the cushion and I'm dragging the brake, and I'll be 1/10 of a second faster because I'm not spinning my tires, right? So really focus on doing that. It's not just hit and brake on entry, but use that brake through the corner, right? If you're spinning your tires, don't just roll off the throttle. Try dragging a little bit of brake. Like that. And then once you can do the top, then work on the bottom. All right, and just keep practicing at this. And make sure you're doing it on a tacky track in the beginning. Don't be doing it on the slick, do it in the tacky. And focus on, when you mess up, focus on correcting it with the proper pedals. Like right there in that last corner, I go in a little too hard, the car starts to get out of shape, and I fix it with the pedals. Focus on doing that. Once you are smooth and consistent at doing this on a tacky track, then you'll be ready to do a slick track. All right, you guys, so that's gonna do it. I hope this helps you in terms of showing you how to do this technique. Like I said, it's all about developing feel. It really is. You got to develop the feel for the car, how it wings over, what it feels like when you do drag the brake, when you do stab it, when you do roll off the throttle and press it, or when you're holding it wide open and stab it. All those different things. You got to really develop the feel of it, because everybody's car is gonna feel different. We've got different wheels, different settings, different setups, different pedals. Everything's different, so you've got to develop that feel. And if you take some time, right, with the 360 and then ultimately the 410, if you take some time and just practice a little bit, you don't even have to be super consistent. Just practice a little bit. You'll notice that, hey man, I'm starting to be a little bit more consistent with this. I'm starting to develop that feel, And once you do that, then you can just start seeing, hey, is this better for me or not? If it's not, hey man, just keep it tucked in your toolbox as something that you might only use every once in a great while. But if it is, you can start honing that skill more and more, and hopefully it'll help you, pull off some podiums and even some wins in the track, on the track. So that's gonna do it. Thank you very much as always for joining me. If you like this, you already know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, that share button. Thank you very much for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Last year, was a crazy year. I've talked about it a ton with us starting the second business. I was so busy last year, and I'm going to be even busier this year. And one of the reasons I'm going to be even busier this year is this YouTube channel, the SSR community, the league, all of that stuff. I spent a lot of time doing the glass business stuff, and unfortunately this business suffered some because of it, and I'm not happy about that at all. I just am not. I don't like feeling like I let the community down, like I let myself down, like I let those who helped me down, because that's how I feel based on the fact that I didn't get all the stuff done that I wanted to get done and do all the things that I wanted to do. And so I'm just gonna have to try harder, and that's the goal this year, is to get more done and get more out there and help you guys more, because now on the dirt side, I think dirt is, in my opinion, I think it's as good as it's ever been since I've been on the sim, in my own personal opinion. And I think there is a lot of awesome stuff to come in terms of the sim, and I think it's only going to get better on the dirt side, and I'm looking forward to running it and putting on special events again and doing all kinds of stuff like we've done in the past. I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of that this year. We got a couple of really big things planned, and I'm hoping they come through, because if they do, it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to this year. It's going to be exhausting, but it's going to be worth it. And so I say all that to just really say thank you very much for joining me and checking these videos out, subscribing, all the stuff that you guys do. I know it's corny and cheesy and all that stuff, but really, I truly thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me that you guys would join this community, subscribe to this channel, and do all the stuff that you guys do. So thank you very much. If you are newer, or if you haven't checked any of the other stuff out that we have to offer, there's links for everything down in the description below, or you can head over to schoolofsimracing.net, click on the button that says join the community, and you'll get the links to all of our groups, our Discord. We've got a ton of free stuff up on the website, with a lot more free stuff to come. So like I said, I got a lot of stuff planned for this year, and we're getting after it, even though it's only day 2 of the 365. So getting after it, but that'll do it. Thank you guys very much once again for joining me, and until next time, I want to wish you good luck, good racing, take care.